Michael Jackson in the 1980s and early 1990s was the best celebrity at making money. He would put out albums and they would be instant bestsellers, and that was at a time when albums actually made money. He would do tours and make $50 to $100 million a year. He was really one of the best music acts at taking his fame, his songs, and monetizing it, and he was quite a brilliant man when it came to business.
In a typical year, how much was he taking in? How much was he spending?
At the time of his trial in 2005, it was estimated that he was bringing in about $20 million a year. That came from royalties from songs, both his own and the Beatles catalog. He was never going on the road anymore, and the way a musician really makes a lot of money is going out on the road, and so he was only bringing in $20 million a year. But he was spending $30 to $40 million a year. He would go on these lavish spending sprees in Las Vegas, in Europe, in Asia, and that was Michael Jackson's really his downfall financially as his life grew to an end. He was spending on art, he was spending on houses, he was spending on meals, wine, you name it, Michael Jackson was spending on it.
Michael Jackson as a businessman, how would you rate him?
Michael Jackson in the peak of his career was a stellar businessman. As his life wore on and he became more of a reclusive individual and less of an entertainer, enablers, entourages, handlers really screwed his finances up, and I think he withdrew from Michael Jackson, the brand, very much so, and allowed people to kind of hijack his finances. And he didn't do himself any good by going on these lavish spending sprees.
His personal problems, these allegations of child molestation, did that affect him financially?
Oh yes, his child molestation allegations had a severe impact on Michael Jackson's finances. In 1993, it was said that he settled the first allegations for more than $20 million. And that sort of is where Michael Jackson's business empire goes off the rails. He has to pay this $20 million and he becomes more of a recluse. His brand is tarnished forever. You will always be talking about Michael Jackson as a brilliant entertainer, and he was also accused of child molestation. You always have those two thoughts in the same breath. And as long as you have that, his brand will be tarnished in perpetuity.
How do you think this is now going to play out?
This is going to be a very complicated, very long process. Michael Jackson's estate is extremely murky. You can already see that the family is squabbling over wills and who gets custody of the children. Imagine when the finances actually go into effect. But this is how it's going to probably play out. His mother is going to take control of the estate and realize that despite all the records that they're selling now, they're probably not bringing in enough income to pay off all those debtors. And so they're going to put the estate likely into bankruptcy. When it goes into bankruptcy, they're going to look at the assets and they're going to look at the liabilities. And they're going to sit down and talk to all those creditors and debtors and find out how they can, pay them off. And realize that despite all the records that they're selling now, they're probably not bringing in enough income to pay off all those debtors. And so they're going to put the estate likely into bankruptcy. When it goes into bankruptcy, they're going to look at the assets and they're going to look at the liabilities. And they're going to sit down and talk to all those creditors and debtors and find out how they can, pay them off.